One of the questions that was submitted to me for my 15 Q&A video as we celebrate 15,000 subscribers for the channel was from ESP87, and I did briefly talk about what I would do in regards to his question, but I thought it deserved to be elaborated a bit more in its own video. ESP87 asked this question. My question is, if you were in charge of Rockstar with unlimited resources, what gamer games would you expand upon and why? This is a good tie-in to my If I Was in Charge series, which I've already done quite a few videos of. In fact, I'm not going to cover specifically these other games because I've already done so via the If I Was in Charge playlist. You want to know what I would do with Red Dead Online, our potential remasters for Red Dead Redemption 1, GTA 4, Bully Remaster, as well as my Red Dead Online 1908 Ideas video. Look no further than those videos. I'm going to talk specifically what I would do if I was in charge of Rockstar Games. First off, obviously Sam Houser would probably end up stepping aside, retiring, and then somehow I'm brought in. By the way, this is a hypothetical. Just like all the other If I Was in Charge videos, I know it's never going to happen, but if they want to offer me tons of money and a nice lucrative contract to come in and take over Rockstar, at least give me a year to run Rockstar and see what happens. I think it would take longer than a year when it comes to one of the largest video game studios in the world. I would be more than happy to take that job. And if there's any smaller studios out there wanting to give me a paycheck and put me in charge of their studios, I'm okay with that too. I know, once again, probably not going to happen, but it's still fun to speculate and theorize. So once again, like I mentioned, anything regarding Red Dead Online for the most part are potential remasters. I've already covered in previous videos, so that'll give you an idea of what I would do if I was in charge of Rockstar Games when it comes to those specific games. First off, we got to talk about the structure of the organization. I would streamline it a bit. I read an article a while back, allegedly, in regards to GTA 6. I think it was a Jason Schreier article. And they talked about how the work environment for employees at Rockstar Games has improved. And I would continue to find ways to make the work environment better for employees under Rockstar Games. But I also read something about how there is a chain of command issue where people have trouble getting things approved because they answer to like 2 or 3 people. And I would just look at the structure and decide what position is better suited with one person as opposed to 2 or 3. I would make it a bit more smoother and streamlined all the way up from me down to, the bottom of the ladder. Rockstar Games is obviously one of the largest development studios in the world. They have offices almost everywhere, just about. Rockstar North in Scotland, Rockstar San Diego in California. You also have various other studios, big and small. I think there's one in Australia, a couple more in the UK, as well as I think one in Canada, I think one in India, and perhaps a few others as well. So I would look at all the studios and I would find out exactly what studio does what. And from there, I would start preparing a long-term plan when it comes to Rockstar Games going forward. At the moment, we got Rockstar Worldwide, and it was, I think, almost all the studios that were working together across the world when it came to Red Dead Redemption 2. I believe they're doing something similar with GTA 6. So obviously, GTA 6 is still the top priority with me in charge of Rockstar Games. That game needs to get out within 2 or 3 years. So that's what I'm going to have Rockstar Worldwide focused on. But there's obviously other online games that need attention as well. GTA Online, which we'll cover a bit in a moment, as well as Red Dead Online. Now, when it comes to Red Dead Online, I've already made a couple videos about this. Plus, I have numerous ideas and thoughts videos regarding Red Dead Online and GTA Online you can check out as well via the Ideas playlist and the Thoughts playlist. But real quick, the one thing I would do with Red Dead Online is I would not scrap it. I believe, just like The Professional and many others, that it's a mistake for Rockstar to put all their eggs in one basket, i.e. GTA Online. Yes, Red Dead Online was never going to be as big or as successful financially as GTA Online, but if given the proper vision and dedication, I think that Red Dead Online could be profitable and successful in its own right. At this point, it needs a reboot, and that's where I would encourage the team that is going to be in charge of Red Dead Online going forward to go with a 1908 reboot, similar to my vision for Red Dead Online 1908 ideas video, which I'll go ahead and link below in the description section, as well as everything that I discussed in my Red Dead Online If I Was in Charge video. Another thing that needs to be done where Rockstar Games is behind the times when it comes to other studios that have online multiplayer games, like for example Epic with Fortnite, Rocket League, Fall Guys, is dedicated servers. I'm going to push for GTA Online and Red Dead Online to be moved over to dedicated servers, even if that means having a new dedicated server farm built, a studio focused specifically on our dedicated servers with a staff that's experienced, knowledgeable about the dedicated server system and how they work compared to the peer-to-peer. And I would have that transition made for GTA Online as well as Red Dead Online, specifically for PS5, Xbox Series, as well as PC. And I would also try to make it to where maybe eventually we could get Xbox and PlayStation to cross-play. That would be amazing. I don't know if I ever want PC to join the mix because there's obvious issues when it comes to playing on PC and online games, especially when you happen to have peer-to-peer systems like Rockstar does for GTA Online and Red Dead Online, which is literally the Wild West of Red Dead Online via PC. While I would attempt to fix the issues that are currently plaguing the PS4, Xbox One versions of GTA Online as well as Red Dead Online, I think that ultimately live support is going to come to an end for last-gen consoles. It's only a matter of time. But when it comes to PS5, Xbox Series performance upgrade for Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Online, I would definitely have a team working on that in order to get that out for players that already have a copy of Red Dead Redemption 2 as well as Red Dead Online for PS4, Xbox One. They're currently playing on PS5, Xbox Series, and I would release that as a free upgrade as a PR move towards our fan base, especially our Red Dead fans, as a way of thanking them for playing Red Dead Redemption 2, purchasing it, as well as Red Dead Online. And it's one of the first steps I'm going to take in charge of Rockstar Games in order to restore faith and trust and communication between us and our fan base. And that segues over to improving the social medias. There's a very real possibility that the people currently at Rockstar Games are the best in the business. And I'm definitely going to look at everybody, especially upper management, mid-management, to make sure these people are actually doing their jobs and aren't getting any legitimate complaints from people that they're supposed to be responsible for. And if there's any issues when it comes to mid or upper management, they will be dealt with accordingly. Now, in regards to improving the social media, I'm also going to look at our social team and see what they need in order to improve their social skills. It's very possible that they have a great social media team. The problem is maybe from on high and the orders that they're receiving, and maybe that's why they don't communicate as well as other social media teams for other studios out there. So communicate better with loyal Rockstar fans via the socials such as YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the feedback page, as well as the Rockstar website itself via the news wires. I would work really hard along with the social media team to regain trust with the Rockstar fan base, GTA fans, Red Dead fans, etc. I would also begin working on this thing called roadmaps, which is something that Rockstar is unfamiliar with at this point that other studios do on a regular basis. Obviously, we would not tell the fans everything we're doing because you got to have some, surprise, and there's just some things you're working on that you don't want to spill the beans on until you're ready to announce it. But I would definitely have roadmaps out for a timetable when you can expect GTA 6, as well as future GTA Online and Red Dead Online content, future projects, as well as, we're ready to announce future projects. But I would at least give people a ballpark when to expect future updates for GTA Online and Red Dead Online. Case in point. Obviously, there's going to be most likely a December update for GTA Online. I would, come out and say, okay, coming up December, we have another update. It's going to be a big update. There's also going to be some quality of life improvements Just, give them the basics. Give them something, which is obviously better than nothing. Another thing that the team would focus on improving is the social club. It is in desperate need of an overhaul. I believe it's, nearly 10 years old now, the Rockstar Social Club. I would get some work done over there, or bring in people that could rework it. And I would also get the iFruit as well as the Red Dead Redemption 2 companion apps for smartphones, especially the most current versions of iOS and Android up to date, because I have tried to get a new license plate for one of my vehicles in GT Online, and unfortunately, I cannot access the iFruit app with my iPhone 13. And a lot of people on Apple and Android have this same issue when it comes to iFruit. And that needs to be updated. That needs to be fixed, along with issues plaguing the Red Dead Redemption 2 companion app. If we're not going to go through the effort to keep these apps updated and improved over time, then there's no point in having them. And we might as well implement the ability for players to have custom license plates via LS Customs or one of the other garages in GT Online. Adding the ability to purchase vanity plates in GT Online is one of many ideas that I would send down the pipeline to the team in charge of GT Online. I have a few other ideas via the ideas playlist. Other ways I would go about improving relations between Rockstar as well as the community is when it comes to modding on PC. Obviously, I frown upon modding GTA or Red Dead Online, but when it comes to single-player games, especially the older Rockstar games like the original GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, I would have a talk with the legal department over at Take-Two and try my best to call off the attack dogs when it comes to modders being pursued by the legal team over at Take-Two. Furthermore, I would have the original versions of GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas re-added to all the stores, including the Rockstar Games launcher, while at the same time, there's obviously work that still needs to be done when it comes to improvements to the definitive edition of GTA 3 Vice City San Andreas. I think that there is work being done on that right now, and if there ends up being a future title update covering the definitive edition for the GTA trilogy, obviously I'll cover it. And when it comes to the various role-play servers revolving GTA 5M or the newer Red Dead RP servers, I would absolutely leave them alone, let them do their thing, as long as they have legal copies of GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. They can do whatever they so wish. In fact, I think that there's some great ideas that have come out of the various GTA 5M servers, like Project Homecoming or the new Dakota River Bend server for Red Dead Redemption 2. There are definitely lessons that can be learned from taking notes as what's going on with the various GTA 5M and Red Dead RP servers that could actually help Rockstar when it comes to the future of GTA as well as Red Dead Online. So let's first and foremost talk about GTA 6 for a little bit. I would sit down with the team in charge of GTA 6, have a nice meeting, very casual, just relax and just have them pitch to me what the vision is, where the setting is, the timeline, the characters, and what it's going to be about. One thing I would want to do is make sure that GTA 6 is faithful to the Grand Theft Auto franchise and learn from recent mistakes made by the Saints Row reboot. We don't want a repeat of that now, do we? When it comes to the writing of GTA 6, obviously I want to make sure that the writing team is knowledgeable about GTA and that they understand what has been built before and they're competent enough to carry on the legacy of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Now, would I bring back Dan Houser? Probably not, especially since he's a little busy right now being on the advisory board for some mobile NFT blockchain studio that's making a mobile game for Battlestar Galactica. Look, I'm a huge Battlestar Galactica fan, but I'm not exactly a fan of NFTs or blockchains, so no thanks. Besides, there's plenty of other great writers out there as well, and Dan Houser, to his credit, did a great job with his team from GTA 3 all the way to GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, but perhaps it is time to move on to fresh blood and put focus on the new writing team. So I definitely sit down with the writers and make sure they have a grasp and a handle on this world that has been created since the early 2000s. There are obviously a lot of rumors out there regarding GTA 6. Some of it may turn out to be true. If, for example, the setting is going to be in the 2020s, modern Vice City, or at least one of the locations will be Vice City, I definitely want to pay tribute to the late Ray Liotta, aka Tommy Vercetti. So I would definitely have a few Tommy Vercetti, Ray Liotta Easter eggs and nods in the modern GTA 6 version of Vice City, even if this is a completely different universe, i.e. the HD universe, as opposed to the 3D universe. Along with a good setting, good missions, characters, making sure that the Rage engine is up to the task of competing with Unreal Engine 5. Protagonists are make or break when it comes to these games, along with the supporting characters. And I absolutely want these characters. If we have, 2 or more protagonists, I think 2 is a good number. I think 3 was kind of lightning in the bottle when it came to GTA 5. I'd rather scale it down to 1 or 2 protagonists for GTA 6. Obviously, we want them to be really good protagonists. And if one of them is female, then I don't want to mess this up. I want to make sure that team does a hell of a job with her character. For one thing, she does not need to be a Mary Sue. A lot of people don't like Mary Sues, and unfortunately, that's what we've gotten a lot from Hollywood lately. And that really ticks me off because we've had so many well-written and developed female heroes over the years, such as Ripley in Alien, Sarah Connor in Terminator, Carol in The Walking Dead, or Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Women are more than capable of being fantastic protagonists and heroes, but you can't make them Mary Sues anymore. You have to make them likable, relatable, flawed, and believable. And if we're going to have the first ever official female protagonist in the Grand Theft Auto franchise, we got to do it right. We cannot drop the ball when it comes to the first female protagonist. We have to get her right. Now, post-release of GTA 6, say 2024, 2025, obviously, despite the best efforts the team at Rockstar Worldwide is going to do with GTA 6, it's going to be a huge game, and there's going to be issues at launch. Hopefully, very small, minor issues, just like, unfortunately, any other AAA or indie game that comes out these days. Rockstar's no exception. I would reach out to the fan base via the socials and tell them that we have the best QA team out there, and I would make sure we have a very good QA beta testing team looking through the game with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that we've got most of the issues, kinks, bugs, glitches fixed, but there's always a few that are just going to come up here and there. And if they happen to come across any, then of course report it to us via the socials as well as the feedback page. And we would try to get those issues resolved as quickly as possible. So there would be post-launch title updates for GTA 6 to address and hopefully fix unforeseen issues, glitches, and bugs. But I would make damn sure that this game does not launch with the same kind of issues as Cyberpunk 2077 or the Saints Row reboot or other games that have had disastrous launches, such as, for example, Mafia 3, because one thing those 3 games have in common is they were released too soon. They were not ready. They all needed more time in the oven. Very similar to the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition by Grove Street Games. Once I feel confident, along with upper management, mid-management, all the way down to the various departments of Rockstar Worldwide, feel confident about GTA 6 being gold, being ready for launch, that's when we put out GTA 6. First impressions matter in life, especially when it comes to video game releases. As much as I like the idea of putting out story DLC for GTA 6, I know that there's a very real possibility that I will receive some pressure from Take-Two because that is the parent company publisher of Rockstar Games. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have to answer to them. I know they're going to want us to focus on GTA Online or whatever the next GTA Online happens to be, whether it's a continuation of the current GTA Online or, say, a reboot with GTA Online 2.0. So obviously I would have a team shifting focus over to making content for GTA Online. In fact, I'd probably have a team set aside focusing on that in conjunction with the GTA 6 team prior to launch. Now, best case scenario, if it's doable, I would simply just have Vice City or whatever other location is included in GTA 6 as expansions, new locations for GTA Online. That way, players that are already playing GTA Online can go to Vice City as well as any other location that's included in GTA 6 by simply buying GTA 6. So they would just have their Rockstar Social Club account connected from GTA 5 to GTA 6 for PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and that's how they would gain access to going over from Southern San Andreas to Vice City or Liberty City or wherever else this new game happens to take players. Worst case scenario, if we have no choice but to hit the restart when it comes to, say, a GTA Online 2.0, then what I'm going to do is make sure that the loyal fan base of GTA Online that have been playing this game, I don't know, all the way from 2013 at launch on Xbox 360, PS3, or to the Milked Edition for PS5, Xbox Series, I would make absolute certainty that they are properly thanked and rewarded by transferring over to GTA 6 version of GTA Online. So for anybody that already has a GTA Online character, you have built up your criminal empire in Southern San Andreas, you have all these cars, properties, money, it all comes crashing down, I guess, in the opening story of GTA Online 2.0, and your character basically ends up escaping Southern San Andreas with maybe a few $1,000,000 in their pocket, depending on the rewards we have planned for continuing loyal players, and they have to flee to, for example, Vice City and start completely over. For the record, I would prefer just keeping GTA Online going like World of Warcraft, but it may be impossible to accomplish that task. So at the very least, I want the quote-unquote transition from GTA Online to GTA Online 2.0 for players and their characters to make sense when it comes to the life of a criminal. Because eventually, it does catch up with you if you're in the life of crime. Law enforcement, other organizations will eventually come after you. That story has been told time and time again. And in my headcanon, it would make sense for the move for a player, the protagonist for GTA Online, to make that move from Southern San Andreas to Vice City. Now, there is some data out there, courtesy of Tez, when it comes to Rockstar working on an enhanced expanded edition for PC players. Hopefully that's true. And if I was in charge of Rockstar Games, I would make that a quote-unquote free upgrade as well. But there's also the possibility that Rockstar is going to make PC players shell out some more money to get the enhanced expanded Milked Edition version for PC, even if they already have GTA 5 and Online on PC. But at the present, let's stick with GTA Online. So we already have videos talk about what I would do if Red Dead Online, Red Dead Redemption 1 Remaster, GTA 4 Remaster, Bully Remaster, as well as my Red Dead Online 1908 video. But the cash cow of Rockstar Games at the moment is GTA Online. And even if we do keep it going, past GTA 6, or we end up rebooting with GTA Online 2.0, there's still work that needs to be done when it comes to keeping GTA Online going as well as fresh. Lessons that can be learned from other studios, as I've mentioned already. I would have the studio or the department or the team responsible for GTA Online working to get 3 to 4 updates a year out for GTA Online, even if it means hiring more people, increasing the size of their staff, the department, in order to accomplish that goal. I would definitely have the team behind GTA Online and Red Dead Online scouring through the feedback page and finding out the issues that a lot of players are having with their games. And there would be more quality of life updates coming down the road along with official DLCs. We would keep the promise of rebalancing all PvP videos. Riley and I did a video about that a while back, as well as Gilly Master and other creators as well. So there's definitely a lot of good content out there put out free of charge by loyal fans of GTA and Red Dead that our teams could take advantage of and go and watch those videos and look at the ideas that we like and the ones we don't like and run with it. And I do think that a lot of the PvP vehicles in GTA Online definitely need a rebalance. I would also rebalance standard vehicles with some new classes. I've talked about this in the past. We have vehicles and classes that really don't make sense. It would be cool if we had a trucks class for trucks, an experimental class for vehicles that are quote-unquote experimental, like the Broomstick or the Deluxo, for example, or the Ruiner 2000. And for pre-existing vehicles, I definitely think that we can take advantage of the agency Amani Tech upgrades as well as the HSW upgrades and continue upgrading older vehicles with the agency armor as well as HSW boosts. And I think there's weapons in the game that definitely need overhaul and a rebalance. For example, one of the newest weapons, the precision sniper rifle, definitely needs some reworking. It needs some mods added to it, like a scope, for example. And it would be amazing if we went back to previous GTAs and added weapons from, say, for example, GTA 3D era with the flamethrower or the katana, but that would involve us reworking the melee skills. I would definitely want to go into GTA Online and have the team come up with ways to improve melee, but that may be difficult with this version of GTA Online. But at the very least, it would be fun to be able to run around with katanas once again, make them lethal as hell when it comes to melee combat. And for all time's sakes, I would love to bring back the flamethrower from GTA 3. As well as other previous weapons from the 3D HD eras of GTA that have yet to make their way into GTA Online. Ultimately, one thing I think is probably going to have to be removed from GTA Online and refunded to players that purchased it is the Orbital Cannon. I feel like it's been nothing but trouble since day one. It's just a toy that the griefers love to use, and I was concerned about that the moment I found out it was going to be introduced. It should be removed. And everybody that purchased it for, $900,000 in their facility should simply just be given back $900,000 courtesy of Rockstar. I think that's the only way to solve the orb cannon spamming problem. And maybe putting them on dedicated servers, GTA and Red Dead Online, would improve a lot of the current issues that these two games have. But I'd rather just, better safe than sorry, remove the orb cannon. Now, when it comes to the vision of trying to get GTA Online back up to at least 3 updates a year, the spring update would probably be the smallest of the 3 updates. It would be very similar to the 2014 updates, which is basically just some new vehicles, some new clothing, maybe a new weapon, as well as quality of life improvements. In each update, I would have a little bit of additional quality of life improvements tagged in. The second update would be the summer update, as usual, which would be a medium to large update, also with some additional vehicles, clothing, a new weapon, quality of life improvements, and maybe something else to go with it for the summer update. Obviously, the biggest update would be the December update. That would be the large update of the year. And somewhere in between the summer update and the fall update, we'd have a Halloween update that would be locked with the summer update and dripped out eventually. So there would still be dripped content because that's just the unfortunate reality. It does cost money to put out updates for GTA Online as well as Red Dead Online for Microsoft and Sony. They each, want a few bucks from Rockstar's pocket. Obviously, it costs money because you have people working behind the scenes to create the content for these updates. So that's costing money for the updates for GTA and Red Dead Online. But you also have to cut a check to Sony and Microsoft in order to be able to upload that title update. And I think that it's $50,000 last time I checked. The price for that could have gone up or down. Obviously, updates cost money. Therefore, you have to have content that people are going to buy. And some people are going to end up spending shark card money on as well as gold bar money on. But you want to have content that's worth people's money. So yeah, the drip content will continue with drip-fed vehicles as well as the drip-fed Halloween content to go with the pre-existing content to keep it fresh going forward. And continuing with the quality of life improvements for GTA and Red Dead Online. Now, there have been quite a few updates over the years for GTA Online since 2013. A lot of great ideas. The problem is I feel like that the barrel that we have of ideas has gotten a little low. And unless we go back and revisit previous DLCs, which Rockstar has done in the past, and just add it to those DLCs. There are a few others we could do, like the long brainstormed and theorized naval DLC, or perhaps even a Cops and Crooks DLC. I know in the environment we've had over the past few years, that may never happen, but we do need to try to come up with some ways to refresh and revitalize GTA Online. And one of the ways I think we could do that is potentially with expansions, i.e. new locations to the game. For example, Ludendorff, aka North Yankton. I would have had North Yankton fully built by now, or whatever makes up the map of North Yankton. They've had it since 2013. You think they've had a team behind the scenes that would have over the years added to it, fixed it up a bit more and made it capable of being used in the future for GTA Online as a location, maybe as a future heist, and add some properties up there. And I would say the big one that may never happen, or Rockstar may be holding on to for GTA 6 along with Vice City, is potentially Liberty City. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just one of the many rumors out there. But if they have no intention of using Liberty City in GTA 6, I would definitely consider using Liberty City as a future expansion for GTA Online. Expansions are a little different than the standard DLCs, content, properties, etc. And I think that would cost a considerable amount of money to finish up North Yankton or be able to port over Liberty City for GTA Online on the current Rage engine if they haven't already done so. Rumor is they already did years ago. Either way, since these are expansions, they would probably cost money in order to purchase these expansions for players in GTA Online. I would try to make it as affordable as possible, 15, 20 bucks. But at the end of the day, Rockstar Games is a business and there has to be profit made. But you want to make it to where players feel like that they're getting their money's worth out of the purchases that they make. Which leads us to GTA Plus. For the longest time, I've considered this to be a scam. Yeah, it's only $6 a month, but I don't really feel like it's worth $6 a month. So I would sit down with the team at GTA Online and we would brainstorm, rethink, perhaps even improve or even scrap GTA Plus 6 as a subscription service unless we came up with a plausible way to make this worth people spending $6 a month on. Circling back to PC players, I think it seems pretty apparent if we go by the data, courtesy of Tez once again, that Rockstar is already working on an enhanced, expanded, milked edition performance upgrade for the PC version of GTA 5 and Online. And if I was in charge, obviously that would be a free upgrade. Very similar to what we talked about regarding a free upgrade for Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Online for players that already have PS4 or Xbox One copies, now on PS5, Xbox Series. Now we move towards the future of Rockstar Games. We've got GTA 6 out there. Hopefully it's made some money. GTA Online is continuing to do well with quality of life improvements, new locations, and Red Dead Online has been brought back from the dead with my 1908 vision for it. Obviously not making nowhere near as much money as GTA Online, but people have come back to Red Dead Online 1908 and gold bars are being spent once again, and people are enjoying the new direction for Red Dead Online to the point that it's at the very least profitable and worth keeping around, very similar to GTA Online, especially since new locations from GTA 6 have been added as expansions for GTA Online. Now we can shift focus on looking back to classics. I would have a studio dedicated with a team of developers that actually are into going back and remastering, rebuilding previous beloved games. I know not all developers want that. They want to focus on new content, but I have to believe that there's developers out there happy to have a paycheck, happy to work on a project, even if it is a remaster or a reboot. So I would have a studio dedicated to that effort. It would no longer be contracted out to a small mobile studio with only 24 people. It would be done in-house. And it would be proper remasters or remakes, as we've talked about already. Remasters, remakes of Red Dead Redemption 1, with them also working on Mexico in Red Dead Redemption 1 Remaster. Eventually, that would end up being an expansion for Red Dead Online 1908. And obviously, remasters, remakes of GTA 5, as well as Bully. And then I would also look at the studios post GTA 6. The big studios will be focused on big projects, say the next Red Dead game, if there's ever a future Red Dead game, or GTA 7, or perhaps even a new IP. We'll talk about that in a moment. But for smaller IPs, like a Bully sequel, that's something a lot of Bully fans have been wanting for the longest time. And it doesn't have to be as big as GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption 2. It is about quality, not quantity. It can be a decent-sized map of Bulworth, the academy, the town, maybe even a rival city and academy that would be part of the map. But I would love to have a studio focused specifically on a long-awaited Bully sequel. I don't really care for the idea of an online mode for Bully, but we could go the co-op route. Some of us in my Discord have talked about this over the past several months, and I think that maybe make it a co-op game where you have like 2 to 4 players that can go to Bulwark Academy together and they each are doing their own thing. Maybe there's some character customization and some different voice actors that you could pick for your protagonist character. And obviously we'd have pre-existing characters from the first Bully, including Jimmy. He would make an appearance or a cameo, or perhaps he would play an important role in the Bully sequel. When it comes to Rockstar's relationship with Remedy, we would honor the promise that we've made to Remedy by financially supporting them on their remasters of Max Payne 1 and 2. We would make sure that they get the funds needed in order to make those games amazing and worthy remakes of the original Max Payne 1 and 2. I'm absolutely keen on keeping good relations with the fine folks at Remedy in order to make sure that the remasters of Max Payne 1 and 2 are faithful to the original versions of those games. And when it comes to new IPs, I think it's time for Rockstar to go forward and come up with something new. I don't know what that would be, what direction we could go. We've done great with GTA, and we'll continue the Grand Theft Auto franchise going forward, and maybe even a future Red Dead game. I don't think we would do Red Dead Redemption 3. I think that it's time for new characters, new story, a new setting throughout the Wild West period, and perhaps a new name, because originally it was Red Dead Revolver, then Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. So it'd be like Red Dead Revolution or Red Dead Renegades or something that starts with an R. I've talked about that many years ago. But it would still exist in the Red Dead universe. And yeah, I would make Red Dead Revolver part of that universe as well. But somewhere down the road, there would be a new Red Dead game. But obviously, with new characters. And maybe eventually you get cameos from pre-existing Red Dead Revolver or Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2 characters as well throughout the stories of the next Red Dead game, which would technically be the 4th Red Dead game in the franchise if we're including Red Dead Revolver. But I absolutely love the idea of Rockstar innovating and trying to come up with a new franchise to bring forward. I just don't know what that is. I guess we'd have to brainstorm with myself and everyone else at Rockstar Games and see what they're coming up with, what they're working on already, or what's in the pipeline, what they've been toying around with, and come up with the best idea and, push it forward and eventually see what happens. Hopefully it turns out to be a success. But that's pretty much what I would do if I was in charge of Rockstar Games. Obviously, that's never going to happen, just like me being in charge of Red Dead Online or the remasters for Red Dead Redemption 1, GTA 4, Bully. But it's fun to speculate and theorize and talk about what I would do if I was in charge. And I do appreciate all of you that do watch and enjoy my What If I Was in Charge series. By the way, I would love to know some of the things you would do if you were in charge. No, you don't have to write a novel down. Just a sentence or a few things, like top 5 things you would do if you were in charge, or top 10 things you would do if you were in charge of Rockstar Games. And if you have a future If I Was in Charge video you would like to see me tackle, feel free and leave it below in the comments section.